let's make lemonade. Okay. Let's go to work.
That's the signal! Go!
Six!
It's beautiful!
Mother Nature just pissed her pants, dude!
Start your day with a jolt of energy and no-holds-barred opinions. This is The Rush, where Travis Justice and Ross Peterson bring you bold, unfiltered, and uncensored takes on sports, life, and everything in between. Buckle up and let's go.
It is the Rush Radio Show at therushladio.com, powered by Willis Automotive. Good to have you along on a Wednesday morning. I'm Travis Justice. He's Ross Peterson. What's going on there, buddy?
Not much, man. Getting some pets from the dog. Always makes you feel better to pet a dog, doesn't it?
Well, you know, it does. There's something about dogs that just make you feel happy. Make you feel happy. I have to step over my dog in the morning because he's just
he consumes the entire house.
Yeah,
Travis has a 4,000 square foot house. The dog is 3,950 of it.
Pretty darn close. He is like an area rug. I get up in the morning and he doesn't move, and he's just like, you can step over me. I'm not going to get up and move for you. Yeah. That's not what he does. So and he just leaves hair everywhere. He not only is he an area rug, he's attempting to make a new area rug with this with all the fur that he leaves around. It's crazy.
When you sweep and you have a dog, you have another dog laying there, you're like, where'd that dog come from?
You know, we got a Roomba, and that was probably the best thing we've ever purchased. And because we just run that thing, and it just goes around and picks up all the hair. It does a decent job. It's never going to be perfect with a dog that sheds so much, but we got a lot of hair around this house. If you buy a Great Pyrenees, or get a Great Pyrenees, or if you have a Great Pyrenees, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't have one, but you're thinking about them, gentle giants, wonderful dogs, they just shed a lot. So just be aware of that. You know, today is the 29th of January, and you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's a Wednesday, but we don't do a lot of personal shout-outs during the shows, but I think it's only fitting that we say happy birthday to our buddy Brooks Reynolds.
Now, wait a minute. Is today Brooks' birthday?
I thought it was. My wife texted me and said, hey, it's Brooks' birthday tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yesterday she texted me.
Okay. Because I think I had it in my phone as tomorrow is Brooks' birthday. But maybe I'm wrong. Either way, it's, you know what, for a personality that big, it takes more than 24 hours to celebrate a birthday.
Well, we're going to hear from Brooks Reynolds tomorrow because he's going to be somewhere within the United States, I believe, or the world. Because he goes, do you want, hey, can I come on Friday? Can I come on Friday? Sure, Brooks, you can come on Friday. He goes, yeah, we'll do wherever I'm in around the world.
So imagine, Trav, because will we be able to send him a video link?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Friday. It's Friday that he's coming on. Yeah. So I'm going to send him a video link. He's done this with me before, so he'll be able to get right in.
This is going to be great to add that element with Brooks, especially. Yeah, this is going to be great. Super excited about that. Happy birthday to our buddy.
Tomorrow, just a deep tease for tomorrow. Bruno from El Bait Shop and High Life Lounge will be joining us. Of course,
never heard of her. Who's this?
Her. Of course, during the old show, Bruno was a regular for 10 plus years, and he decided to follow us over and wanted to be part of this little endeavor that we're doing. And so Bruno's going to be joining us. And you know, when we went to the network, his time got cut in half, if not more. So he'll have more time to hang out with us and talk about just different things, right?
How long do we have to wait? Do we have like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Is there like is there a time period where we shouldn't talk about the inside baseball stuff?
No, we can talk about the inside baseball.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, because they wanted Bruno off the air.
Yes. Yes.
Like the way that Travis and I would, because there's an old saying in the business, and that is, you're not in a ratings business, you're in a revenue business. Doesn't matter what your ratings are. It matters what your revenue is. Well, our revenue was tied to guys like Bruno. And we knew this was our first indication that the end was coming when they were like, "Hey, we don't think Bruno should be on with you guys anymore."
And
that's
we were
our
like,
revenue.
But
That's our job.
But not only that, but it got to the point where Bruno was and is kind of part of the show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's use Scott Sipker as an example over on the Murph and Andy show. And Sipker would come on all the time, and now he was getting paid. Bruno was paying to be on the show.
Right.
Sipker was getting paid, but he was just part of the show for an extended period of time. That everybody knew that he was coming on Thursday, and he was just part of the show. He would rarely come in and talk about El Bait Shop and High Life Lounge. He would talk about soccer.
For years it was. Yeah, it was goofing around, and then when the clock changed, then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we should probably try to make this make sense, and anyway, tried to plan creativity. That's always fun.
We're going to get to the Drake UNI game tonight, and at 7:33, Justin Miller is going to join us, and we're going to try this again. We're going to see if the millennial can figure out, technology and software and stuff like that.
Despite, and I do want to say again, despite a lot of protest from a lot of our listeners who said never give him a chance again. Don't bring Justin on. It's going to diminish the quality of the show, and Travis and I know that.
But
I'm just being mean.
But we're nice. We give second chances, and we're here to let him.
That's that God thing. You know what I mean? We are graceful for sure.
Yes, nothing says Rush Radio like grace.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, we are about
grace,
second chances,
forgiveness, kindness.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Don't forget, this is an interactive show. You can participate in the show. The best way to do it is give us a call at 515-517-2303. Again, 515-517-2303. Just go ahead and program that number into your phone. That way, when you want to participate with us, you can just give that a little click. You can also follow us on X at Rush Mornings, And I taught Ross something today, or he didn't know about it. And that is, of course, we are live on X, we are live on YouTube, and we are streaming live worldwide at therushladio.com. But in the comment section on X, and I believe on YouTube specifically, you can leave a comment. But not only are those comments coming to us, and I'll read some, I won't read them all, just to let you know. But it's one of those situations where on YouTube, listeners can interact with one another. So you can if somebody says something on YouTube that you want to interact with, you can actually interact with other listeners, which is a pretty cool feature. You can get other dialogue going.
I'd spent the first two shows not knowing that we had this chat feature available to us, so I am a lot more. That's why I'm a different shade today, because this is fun. This is really fun. I love the interactive part of this, Travis. It is my favorite part of doing broadcasting, whatever this is that interaction part. It's the thing that, quite frankly, when you're doing radio and it's kind of monologue, you're missing out on that relationship thing. There's no back and forth. It's one way. I'm talking sometimes in a padded room, in a carpeted room, to myself. And to have that interaction is so cool. So I love seeing it, and you can even see where people are commenting from.
Speaking of that, look at Nicholas. He says, "What a treat to listen and watch from Costa Rica. Great to have you guys back together, Travis and Ross, Trump, and Cyclones kicking ass. All is right." My question is he actually like vacationing in Costa Rica, or does he live in Costa Rica? Because a lot of people have just picked up and said, you know what, I'm going to go live in Costa Rica. I'm going to live somewhere else. Because, well, I'm not. we're not rolling in the dough doing the show, so I can't pick up and move to Costa Rica and do the show every day from Costa Rica. But some people have just packed up and left.
A lot of people, dude. When I was in Spain, I met a lady named Jessica, this beautiful woman in Spain whose job is to help Americans retire in Spain. Do you remember me telling you about this? Because she obviously sat and talked to Pat. She wasn't interested in me because I ain't retiring soon. But the guys I was with, she knew her target audience. Let's say that. But she even brought, when we were in this little town called Oya, she brought other people to the bar that were Americans that she'd helped retire in Spain.
My brother lives in Portugal. So my brother worked for...
I know that.
Yeah, my brother worked for ExxonMobil for about 30 years, and he retired at age 55. Never been married, no kids. So, when you work for ExxonMobil and you get those stock options and you don't have a wife and you don't have any kids, it's a little easier to pick up and retire at age 55.
Yeah.
But he loves Portugal. I called him the other day. I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, getting ready to go walk on the beach, because he's just right outside of Lisbon on the coast. He looks out his window, and right there is just the beach. And I'm like, you live the life, man. You live a pretty good.
He's right
life.
there. He's right at. He's this close to heaven. This close.
That close to heaven.
It's a beautiful place. So did you see that Nicholas wrote back, said work trip in Costa Rica?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
nice.
And we also had a listener that said, and I think they're on to us a little bit, Travis. If I can go over there and see if I can. Did you see the listener who said he understood why we brought on Justin? He says, I just thought you guys were bringing on little kids to ruin shows at the end of the run, kind of like Brady Bunch and Different Strokes.
Who did Different Strokes bring on?
Man, why was I thinking it was a famous actor like a Ricky
Janet Jackson
Schroeder?
was on Different Strokes. Remember Janet Jackson? Janet Jackson was Willis's girlfriend on Different Strokes.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. I
Yes.
remember her from One Day at a Time.
One Day, was she on One Day at a Time?
No. What was the? She was on a sitcom type show, wasn't?
I thought I know she was on
Times.
Different Strokes. Good
Good
Times. Good
Times.
Times. But she was on Different Strokes as well.
Man, I better
And
look this up.
when Mrs. Garrett left Different Strokes to go run Facts of Life, she was still part of. She came back as Mrs. Garrett. I think Natalie and Tootie and all those girls played a part in Different Strokes as well.
All right, Good Times cast members does include Janet Jackson. Jimmy Walker was the star of Good Times.
Absolutely. Dynamite.
John Amos, Esther
Really?
Roll.
I didn't know John Amos was part of Good Times.
He was the dad. Remember? He was like
Oh yeah,
Like,
he
he
was
was-
McDowell's, right?
he was McDowell's. Holy cow! Yes, he was.
Now when we talk about
They got
McDowell's,
the Big Mac. I got the Big Mick.
yes. Which in today's world you would be taken to court really quick.
They got the Golden Arches. I got the Golden Arcs.
They got the morning rush. We got the rush. I don't know if they're calling it that, but that would be an example.
That's great.
An example. I don't know if you have seen this or not, but this happened last night in St. Louis.
Oh yes, I did see this.
This was Virginia Commonwealth against St. Louis, and there was a fight in the stands between fans. This is incredible. First of all, it's St. Louis and VCU. How mad can you be in that type of environment?
We really care about college sports, Trav.
We
You know
really
that.
do.
We really do, dude. Care way too much. We care way too much about when this stuff's happening. Did you hear the audio of it? Did you hear the announcer?
No.
All of it, which you could play at the. All of a sudden, the announcer's like just calling the game. You know, it's a good. There, you're showing it right now. It's 69-63 with a minute to play. It's a good basketball game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the announcer's like, "Oh wow, quite a wrestling match happening up in the stands."
Look at that tough guy. Look at that tough guy. just bald and
bald guys
going at
always
it.
think they're the toughest.
No, I don't. Trust me, I do not think that I'm the toughest. But we're seeing this more often, Ross. We've seen it at AAU games. We've seen it at high school games. You don't see it that often in pro. You see it more in pro. You don't see it a lot at college basketball games.
You mean this fighting stuff?
Yeah, this fighting stuff.
So I think you can attribute that to that thing that you just said. I think you can attribute to one thing, and that's alcohol.
You think?
I think so. With professional sports, man, it not that people aren't drunk at college games. I want to be clear about that. But I think that's the thing I would attribute to why you see a lot more like aggressive behavior at professional events. Because I think there's more passion behind college sports than there is professional sports.
Now, Raiders fans and Buffalo Bills fans and probably Eagles fans will disagree with you.
Yeah, you just kind of made me eat those words in three fan bases there.
Yeah, 3 fan bases right there would say, hold my beer. Say, hold my beer, here we go.
Yeah, but you do see a lot more of this at professional events. Certainly don't see this. Don't expect to see this at St. Louis VCU in January.
I think that's the bigger shock to me. Can you imagine being at the Knapp Center tonight as a Northern Iowa fan or a Drake fan? Just start going fisticuffs. Got a confluence in their hands, and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to throw this down and let's go."
Yeah, and it looks the chat is definitely is definitely on your side here. Brian has said we live in an NCAA bubble. You're right, Brian. We absolutely do. River Raider, is that the same as Roland Raider?
No, I think
River Raider said how many tables are broken in college sporting events, and you got to add something in there, intentionally. They how many people dive off of campers on or through tables at college events? I've never seen it ever, and Buffalo does it once a week. Yeah, that's a good point, and you're right. It's an NCAA bubble that I'm living in when I talk about the passion there. Oh, River Raider is Darth Vader.
I thought he wasn't going to listen anymore because. Yeah, yesterday he was like, I'm if Derek's on the show, I'm not coming back.
Oh, that you know what that is.
Yeah, I know.
I've told this story before, but I used to help out a guy named Kevin Baker who was a race car driver out of Pleasant Hill. My dad and I helped him with his car, and we'd help him down at the track. So he'd go down for the race meetings. They'd have driver meetings every Friday night before the races. And this one night, this guy gets mad as hell. Guy that ran the track was a guy named Mick Trier. And this one racer is screaming and yelling at Mick about a decision he'd made the previous week, and Baker, not Kevin Bacon, Kevin Baker. He's screaming and yelling about this decision, and Mick's like, I'm sticking with it, man. You lost. I'm sorry. And this guy says, I'm leaving, and I'm never coming back. And he storms out. And there's a moment of silence, and this Mick Trier guy goes, you guys know how long forever is in this business? 6 days. He'll be back next Friday. You know how long forever is in this business? It's 22 hours.
It's true. It's very, very. And if you really want to see fights, you brought up a track. You'll see them at a dirt track near you, right? I mean, that's whether that's between drivers or that's between
pit
fans.
Crew guys. Normally it's driver, but the pits are interesting. So River Raider said, I can't wait I want Derek to call in because I want to see Derek. I want to see if he fits the mental image in my head. I've tried to tell you guys this. Yes, he does.
And by the way, I don't think Derek can actually video in because he doesn't have a phone capable of videoing in. He has a flip phone. We're not joking when we're talking about a flip phone. But I would take Derek on my side if we got in a fight at a game. I'd want Derek. I'd want Derek by my side. If I'm gonna start throwing punches, which I haven't done in years. I've thrown punches 2 times in my adult life. When I got fired in Wausau, Wisconsin, I threw punches and I got fired for it. The other time I threw a punch was we were rushing to midfield in a Nebraska game. I think Nebraska had beaten Oklahoma. It was Oklahoma because it was Tom Osborne's 250th win.
You took a swing at Barry Switzer?
I took a swing at another sportscaster because it was a race. It was, you know me, it was a race to midfield to get the shot, and the sportscaster reached out, grabbed my coat, and tried to pull me back so he could get ahead of me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not putting up with that. I am not putting up with that.
You just turned and threw a punch?
Turn and threw a punch.
Good for you.
I find this interesting. John may have he goes, I used to listen to you guys to get to work. Now I'm watching you guys and getting nothing done.
I used to listen and get work done. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Thanks,
we were
John.
talking.
Appreciate it.
We were talking about fandom and the extremes that people go. Well, in Philadelphia, of course, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. They're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs after the NFC Championship win over Washington. There was a celebration in Philadelphia, and they took over the downtown streets of Philadelphia. And this is actually a sad story. And it's a lesson that if you're an Uber fan, so let's say Iowa State wins the national championship this year in college basketball. Welch Avenue is going to be taken over, right? It will be like Visha all over again. I mean,
maybe even magnified. I mean, that would be a 46-year-old me might go up there just to experience that, feel that energy that would be pumping through Ames. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened in Philadelphia was they took over the streets, and an 18-year-old kid who goes to Temple, I believe, decided to climb up a light pole. Folks, never climb up a light pole because it's not safe. And I know you might be drinking, but hopefully you're not inebriated enough to say, this is a good idea. It's never a good idea to get so high to where if you land the wrong way, something could happen. This kid fell off the light pole, Ross, hit his head, and he died. 18 years old, celebrating the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, and he dies. Now, he's an accomplished gymnast. I just can't imagine being those parents because he's from Canada. He's an international competitor in gymnastics. He's part of the gymnastics club because it's not a sport at Temple, and he died. That's sad. That's really, really sad. But it shows you when that fandom, when that mob, we talk about that mob mentality, and that's what these things are, because you get in these groups, you're like, climb the light pole, let's go, yeah, you're up there celebrating,
and Travis, it doesn't even take somebody to verbalize that in those moments. That can be an internal thought. That can be, and I bet for a kid like that's an accomplished gymnast, he looked at that as, I'm not kind of show off here a little bit. I can get this amazing view of this cool crowd. I've got all of the abilities and techniques and all that to climb that pole and get back down safely. And then you get up there and either because you're drunk or the vibration of that crowd shaking whatever it was. Oh, that's tragic. I had not heard about that.
Yeah, very, very, very tragic. But I've never been in those situations because I've been part of the media since I was 16 years old, but covering stuff really when I graduated Grandview. I was working in Wausau, then I first started working in Des Moines at KCCI, then I'm working in Wausau, then I'm working in Omaha. You, on the other hand, you've been the flying burrito. You've been the Pancheros
That's why
burrito
say
toss
you've never
guy.
been in that. There is like a tinge of regret that goes through my head, Travis, because I have, dude. I have absolutely been that sheep that let the crowd decide what my actions were going to be, and then. I've always been very outgoing. I've never really been afraid of being embarrassed. So, and now I look back on some of that. When you say that, I go, ooh, a lot of times I let that mob mentality thing win. And again, that's why I say it doesn't even take somebody in the crowd to say, hey, you know what you should do? because that's here. It's going through there faster than anybody could imagine.
You're the ringleader like that. You're like, hey, let's do. Are you a follower? Or are you a leader in a situation like that?
In those situations, Trav, I mean, again, the mob mentality takes over. That's what changed. So that makes you the sheep. That makes you a follower when other people can impact your decisions and your energy in that way. But in that moment, I am making my own decisions. My own decisions are just illogical.
Well, I think there's a point where when you're part of a fan group like that, you feel indestructible, right? You're like, you are the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Nothing can stop you. Looking back, because I don't have any experiences like this. Looking back, do you look now and go, oh, I put my life in danger?
I mean,
when you're getting tossed around in Kinnick Stadium.
That didn't ever feel dangerous.
Never.
Never.
That was the ultimate trust fall, because you're like, hey, you guys can toss me around all you want, but
dude,
they could have dropped you.
I weighed about $140. Okay, my three friends were all big dudes, and usually I was with about 6 guys, and then that was never the only. The trick to that was just stay straight, because if you got loosey goosey, you'd flop around. But like being up on a crowd and that was never scary for me. I've been in a few situations where I was like, "Urgh."
Would you ever put yourself in that situation again?
No. No.
So
wait. Let's be clear. The Ross toss?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be the burrito again.
Now, how much do you weigh now? $160, $165?
Yeah, we're in that range. Yeah. Fighting weight.
Are you a featherweight? Are you a lightweight? Are you a bantamweight? Where are you at in this?
I think that those are all. I think like bantamweight and featherweight are really light guys, like 130, 140 type. I don't know what one. We'd say, let's say I'm 160 today, 165. Okay. Put some coins in my pockets, get up to 170.
You're not 170.
If I wear heavy enough clothes and big boots and a coat and put some weights in the pockets of that coat,
you're 170.
And then carry my backpack and a few other things.
So when you were doing the Camino across Portugal and Spain, you were probably 170.
Something about that, right?
What's Eli wrestling at now?
150.
Boy, he's got to put some weight on. And the only reason I say that, but God, what is he, 6'2"?
About that. So he's got to bulk up. There ain't no doubt.
He's a string bean is what he is. Now, you should show the light pole situation to your kid and kids and everybody listening and say, hey, just to let you know, you might, when you go off to college or even, in high school, you might be put in a situation like this. This is why you don't do stupid things. It may feel cool at one time. It may look cool. You may be popular. Don't get up on a light pole.
Cliff diving off of down at Red Rock. That was one of the things that we did a couple of times where we'd drive down to Knoxville, and you had to take a little hike through the woods to get to this little rock platform that you could jump off of. Dive is a loose term. I went feet first. And it was, the biggest one was probably about a 50-foot drop, something like that. And then
50 feet?
Yeah. And the normal one was about 25, 30, depending on the water level.
Wow.
And we did that and had a great time. And then one day my dad did a lot of stuff that was crazy. And one day my dad was like, hey, if a log is floating by, I mean, you're in the river. It's just a big, giant reservoir of the river. Like, if a log floats by and somebody lands on that, they're going to get really... And they ended up shutting it down. I don't know if somebody got hurt. I'm sure people got hurt down there. But that's one of the things I look back on and go, that could have ended bad.
When's the last time you were in a fight?
Oh, man.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
Yes, exactly.
And that makes sense.
And I would say anytime I was in a fight, I got in a couple fights, but most of the time it was my friends were fighting. and I was grabbing and pulling and protecting myself or whatever the case would be. Those aren't, yeah.
But you have stories, and that's the fun part of it, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hang around the right people. Again, poke around a little bit in this town. You'll find what you want to find.
515-517-2303 is the number to call. If you want to participate in the show, there's a number of ways to do that. Go ahead and follow us. First of all, subscribe to our YouTube channel,
which is free. We should tell people that.
Yes,
Trav.
This whole show is free.
Somebody asked me the other day. They're like, "Man, I wanted to subscribe, but I don't really want to. I love you, but I don't want to pay for it." I said, "No. Going on to YouTube and subscribing is totally free."
Same with X. You can follow us on X, where you can watch the show at Rush Mornings, and you can also like our Facebook page, and you can listen to the replay of the show all day long on rushradio.com. So go ahead and just participate in that. Good to have you along this morning on The Rush. Attention, all experienced automotive technicians. That's right. If you are an automotive technician and, you're ready for a change in your work, want to work with the best team in Iowa, look no further than Willis Auto.
They're currently hiring JLR and Volvo technicians, and they have huge opportunities waiting for you, including some of the following: a $5,000 sign-on bonus for experienced technicians, relocation assistance help if you get there, a deferred compensation bonus, and benefits that are second to none. So at Willis Automotive, you'll be working with the best tools, the best team, and the best opportunities to grow your career. So go work with the best.
Are you interested? Apply today and take the first step toward your exciting future with Willis Automotive. Willis Automotive, where experienced technicians thrive.
Missing a quality home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life. Welcome to the champagne of bars.
You know why Central City Liquor is always so busy?
Yeah, it's because of the cash coupon.
Saving money is important, but honestly, I think it's our huge variety, the convenience of our store.
No, I'm going to stick with the everyday cash coupon.
Well, the guys come in for those great values, but the ladies come in to see me, you know.
I don't think so.
Morning, Tom. I got cash coupon today.
Good deal. That's going to save you some money on that bottle, Mike.
Central City Liquors, open 7 days a week, 5 blocks north of 235 on 2nd Avenue. Save 10% when you pay in cash.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know. El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
Start the new year with a new car at Willis Chevrolet of Granger. We have the largest inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles in the area, and we're offering huge savings during our New Year new car sales event. So up to $8,000 on selected 2024 Silverado 1500s or $10,000 on Tahoes or Suburbans. Looking for something affordable? Check out the Trax and Trailblazer starting at just $23,000. At Willis Chevrolet of Granger, we're your small, friendly, family-owned dealership. For great deals and great service, visit us at Willis Chevrolet at Granger today.
Don't forget, you can listen to the Rush Radio Show all day long. Just visit therushradio.com, click the Listen Live link, and the show is on a replay up until we, start over the very next day. If you can't hit it on rushradio.com, it is available on all of your favorite podcast networks: Apple, iHeart, Spotify, easy to find, and of course, our host, Podbean. Good to have you along on a Wednesday morning. The Iowa women's basketball team, Ross, got a win last night. They were at home against Northwestern and beat them 85-80. Hannah Stolke with a season-high 26. And the freshmen last night really made a difference, I thought, for the Iowa women. I mean, it's their second win in a row. They're still young. There's still some growing pains. But they were down by as many as 10 in that first half.
Travis, thank you. That's the key here. they tried to tell us, be patient with this team. Caitlyn being gone is going to be more than just Caitlyn being gone. The roster wasn't necessarily completely turning over, but man, you are young. So there's going to be a lot of learning pains and growing pains and all of those things. There's going to be a learning curve is the right way to say it, right?
Yeah. Last night, Aaliyah Guyton really impressed me with her ability to dish the basketball, and she had 3 3-pointers last night. And the freshmen last night combined for 20 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and the bench total was 24 points for the Iowa women. So good win for the Hawks. They're back at home on Sunday, I believe. This is going to be a Fox Sports. This is going to be on national TV. Yep. It's against USC, which Juju Watkins is incredible, right? I mean,
they're one of the best teams in the country. They're going to, Saturday's going to be a tough one.
I'm not expecting a win. My curiosity with this, because it's Caitlyn Clark jersey retirement day, just because Caitlyn Clark's involved with the game, it's on national TV. Do you think this is going to be the most watched regular season game on television? You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes, you could have stopped with, do you think? Yep. Yeah, I do. I think that if Caitlyn Clark is involved, it's going to be a spectacle. I mean, I anticipate on Saturday games at 12:30. Is that right?
I think it's Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. I'm sorry. I keep saying Saturday. Okay. I anticipate that my dad will have. This will be, one of those get-together things. Let's hang out and watch the Hawkeye women because Caitlyn's going to be there. They're going to be constantly showing her. I mean, every other basket they're going to flash to her to see her reaction, and so I think it'll be a spectacle. To answer the specific question you asked about, will this be the most watched regular season game of the season? Yeah, I do believe it will be.
I'm kind of with you on that because they're going to promote this not Iowa against USC. They're going to promote it as, hey, Caitlyn Clark's back at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and that automatically draws eyes. I mean, her star power is absolutely amazing, and it's just when you think it's going to decrease or like how long can this really go? I'm gonna admit that I was wrong here. It's gone a lot longer than I thought it was going to go.
I didn't think it would carry on to the WNBA. I thought that would be the barrier that would prevent a lot of people from following her and her story. And man, she blasted through that. So I'm with you, Trav. I'm kind of interested. I've been wrong about how long this was going to last. The staying power of this star power. So now, I mean, again, along for the ride. I've been a big fan. I'll continue to be a big fan. I'll probably watch on Sunday.
Tony says this and kind of caught what we watched last night, and that is Guyton, a difference maker in handling pressure and enabling offense, able to flow through multiple teammates, and he's not wrong there. I mean, it really helped Stokey out last night. Stokey, who had missed the previous 2 games because of concussion protocol, just seemed to get better looks. And you know, Guyton's not the tallest player in the world, but she sees the court so well. And I'm probably giving her too big of a compliment, but she made a pass last night to Hannah Stokey that I'm like, oh, that you saw the court like Caitlyn Clark used to see the court. Like it was just one of those passes where you're like, oh, you're a little different. You see the court really, really well. Again, freshman, a lot of work to go, but I think you see the future.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Trav, what couple of must-win games for this Hawkeye women's basketball team? Not this USC game, obviously, but man, after that, what was it? A stretch of 5 straight losses? Was it even more than that?
It was 5 straight losses.
5 straight. So now you're going to be on the road. You have USC at home, and then it's on the road at Minnesota, at Nebraska. You still have to play at number 8 Ohio State. You're going to host the number 1 team in the country when UCLA comes to town on the 23rd of February. There's some must-win games on that schedule because those are games that you're probably going to lose.
I don't disagree with you. And Iowa right now probably a bubble team for the NCAA tournament. I saw, because we're into bracketology, and yes, I did this the other day, and I was texting with Iowa State coach Bill Fenley. And Bill had no idea what had happened, right? So I go, hey, did you hear the news? He's like, I didn't know. But there was a bracketology out there. Usually I only go to men's basketball bracketology, but for some reason I went to the women's bracketology. And they had Iowa and Iowa State in the first 4 in, playing in a play-in game, but they had them playing each other. I don't want that. Would you want that? Would you want Iowa and Iowa State in the NCAA tournament in a play-in game? That was just really weird to me. Okay. And I know it's just bracketology, and it's you're throwing stuff out there, but you see that and you're like, oh God, I hope that's not even a possibility.
All right, you put a qualifier on there that changes my answer. In a play-in game, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Would I want to see Iowa and Iowa State play each other in March in either men's or women's basketball? Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. That would turn it up. We might have some VCU St. Louis type action going on. People might get that passionate. I think that would be fun for the state. I mean, I know it would turn the heat up a lot on the rivalry, but I'd be a big fan of that. Big fan.
Yeah, I mean, meeting in March is one thing. I guess that first round or a play-in game, you're kind of like, just wait a couple games in if we can get to that.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So when you said, do you want them playing in March in the tournament, I was like, oh, of course I do. In a play-in game, wah, wah, wah. Here, I can do this. Here, ready for this, Trav?
Yep.
Oh, hold on.
I'm looking.
Get it? That's a lot.
Yeah. The Winslow 4000 that Ross has. 517-2303. Let's go to Moose. Moose, welcome to the Rush Radio Show. What's going on, man?
2 days in a row, guys. Now, I watched the Iowa women's team last night, and the more I watch, the more I'm impressed with Taylor Strimlow. She is just a tough bird. She knows how to get the pass ahead to Stolke. They were saying on the broadcast that Stolke's numbers are down since Caitlyn's been gone because she runs the rim, but she has nobody to get her to the pass because they are not confident in getting it to her. But then last night, you see Strimlow just feed some nice, long, open court passes right into her. But Guyton has just gotten better and better as the years gone along. This freshman class is good, and just wait till Addie Dio gets in next year.
Yeah, I think she was named a McDonald's All-American yesterday. That came out that she was a McDonald's All-American. And a lot of comments coming in already about this team's going to be really good in 2 years. And, it's not to the point where Connecticut is right now or South Carolina that they're just consistent year after year. I think we knew there was going to be a letdown when Caitlyn Clark left. And let's not forget, we always say Caitlyn Clark. Kate Martin was a big part of that, too. I mean, you had a dynamic there that was just unique. But I think when you see these freshmen getting more playing time, and you bring up Strimlow, a very good example, and Guyton, and then Stolke, you'll be back again next year because she's only a junior. This team is setting up for mega improvement next year, and 2 years could just be lethal.
I completely agree. They're a fun team to watch, and I'm happy for Jan Jensen because I think she's a good coach. This is her first opportunity. They're going to be all right. Just got to stay with them here. I mean, Sunday's going to be a tough game because USC is so good, but they've got some winnable games up ahead. It's going to be tough, but they can do it as long as they keep their turnovers down.
Moose, winnable games, and some of those, again, are must-win games because you've got UCLA, USC. You got some really good teams left, and right now, are they 14-7 after that 5-game streak? 14-7 and 13th in the Big Ten. You got to climb the ranks.
Yeah. You got to. Yeah,
Thanks,
they've
Moose.
got a lot of work to do to get up there.
Thanks, Moose. Appreciate it. I think one thing that impressed me about last night's game, they had 23 assists on 29 made baskets. At one time during the first half, I think they had 12 assists on 15 made baskets. I mean, so you've got some unselfishness going on on that team and still figuring out one another. But you get 23 assists on 29 made baskets. That's a pretty good number.
That's a good number. We are putting a little bit of lipstick on a pig here. Northwestern hasn't won a game in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
it's a 5-point win at home.
Kind of shows you where you're at, right?
Barometer game. Good way to put it.
Now, it was interesting because if you go to HawkeyeSports.com, which is the official Iowa website, they called it a sellout, and they sold out these games long before the season. So you're talking 15,000 at Carver Hawkeye. Now, the announcers last night, Ross, I don't know if you paid attention to this, but they were like, 11,000 people on their feet. They're like, is there 11,000 in here? They're like, well, we'll just call it 11,001. So, and that happens when you're not as dominant as. So I never got a shot to see if there was really, 3,000 or 4,000 empty seats. That sellout is sold, obviously, but they were talking about the USC game coming up, and said that tickets for that, because Caitlyn Clark is coming back, they've seen tickets on the secondary market for as high as $1,700.
That's been happening for that those tickets for this jersey retirement game have been crazy for a while. So, I don't know what else to add to it, Travis. She's a phenomenon, and people are passionate to go see if she's in the building.
So this got me thinking, and I just found the most recent article I could find, and that is the most expensive tickets in sports history, right? And what's the most you've ever paid for a ticket to a sporting event?
It's got to be. I don't even know, Travis. It's got to be close to $100, something like that. When I went to the World Series, a friend of mine bought those tickets. That was Mark Charter, basically. But this is before I even worked with the guy. He was like, "Hey, man, you should go to the World Series. It's in Kansas City. I bought you 2 standing room only tickets." They were like a couple $100 a piece.
That's the World Series.
That was the World Series,
and that's a big deal. I'm trying to think the most I've ever paid for a sporting event. It hasn't been much because I would always go as a member of the press.
We know.
Thanks for rubbing it in. But I was working, right? I paid to go to an Iowa football game one time. I went to an Iowa-Wisconsin game, but I think I paid face value. Back in the early 90s, I was a season ticket holder to Iowa State basketball because my now wife was a member of the marching band at Iowa State, so I went ahead and bought season tickets so I could go watch her march in the marching band. Wasn't there for the football in the early 90s because that was bad football then. Really bad football. But here's some of these ticket prices that I think are just incredible. And this is from luxurylifestyle.com. Luxurylifestyle.com. Last year's Super Bowl, the average ticket price was $8,400.
Oh my gosh! The average ticket price was $8,000.
$8,400. Because the Super Bowl is not for your average fan anymore, right? It is a corporate event.
It hasn't been for a long time. I was thinking 4. That's twice $8,000 for the. And now, okay, hold on. This is all the math's going through my head. What really jacks that up are the high end.
Yes.
Can I ask? Do you know? And maybe the article doesn't say this. What do you think you could get into the Super Bowl for last year? Think 1,000?
Ooh, maybe. I would guess. I would guess probably over 1,000. Now, the most expensive seats in the Zone Club sideline were $22,907.
And I'll be honest, Trav, that's not as high as I thought it would be. Uh-oh, did I lose you?
No,
okay,
you got me. I was just sitting here looking at this, and I'm like, huh. I don't care how. If I was a billionaire, I don't know if I would pay $22,000 for a ticket. I'm serious. I'm that cheap.
That's not as high as I thought it was going to be. I really did. As I was doing the math in my head, I was like, well, wait a minute. The top end of that might be $50,000 for a ticket. I mean, people that have stupid money
You know,
$20,000 per ticket for sideline.
End zone, yeah, like club seat access, $22,000. The Las Vegas Grand Prix, Formula One. Those ticket prices were right around a 3-day pass for $2,750. 3 days, and F1's it's popular, and the show on Netflix made it really popular in the United States. I mean, if there's been one racing circuit that has improved its stature, it's not been NASCAR, it's not been IndyCar, it's been F1, thanks to the podcasts that are out there about F1 and the Netflix show.
I think it's peaked, by the way. I think that the F1 craze.
Yeah, because it's road racing and it's boring.
And there's just not a lot of passing. But, man, the technology and the engineering is amazing. But anyway, what about Monaco? That would seem to me like that's really exclusive. That's in that F1 family that is, I mean, you have to be, that seems really exclusive. And I'm, again, $2,500 for the 3 days at Vegas. I'm shocked by that, how low that is. I thought that was going to be a lot higher.
And again, this is just from one website, luxurylifestyle.com.
And these are the average, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And they kind of give you a range, right? Number 3 on the list is the Kentucky Derby, where general admission can run you $400 and $5,000 for premium seating on Millionaires Row. I think $5,000 is a pretty good deal at the Kentucky Derby if you're on Millionaires Row.
It's so funny how our brains work, because that was the first one I was like, no way. $500 watch a horse race? Wear a stupid hat?
Yeah, but you probably get a free mint julep. So
I bet you probably get a free mint julep. That's a good point. Yeah. You're at $4 drink is pile those up.
We actually sell at I'm the MC for a fundraiser called Scare Away Cancer, and in the last 2 years we've sold a package to the Kentucky Derby. This Kentucky Derby package went for about $20,000.
That's a charitable donation.
Now it included 4 seats, all inclusive, and when I mean all inclusive, you get free alcohol, you get free food, and you get 4 seats at the finish line. I think that's and then it included flights, it included hotels. So $20,000 for that whole package for 4 people, but that comes out to roughly $5,000 a person, right? But this included flights and hotel. The tickets, I think, were only like wholesale price. I think we paid like $4,000 for them. But that's for the 4. For the 4,
okay,
and all inclusive, where you get your alcohol and your food, so that's not too bad.
No.
Again, it's nothing that I would spend money on.
What are the most expensive tickets in Des Moines? Is Principal Charity Classic being like some sort of club there? There's got to be.
Well, those golf tournaments, they hand ground passes out like they're candy.
They hand the ground passes out, but in order to get into the exclusive stuff,
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, obviously, the most expensive ticket is going to be an Iowa State or an Iowa game, right? I mean, but that's not in Des Moines. Exclude the colleges. I don't know what the most expensive sports ticket would be in Des Moines. I guarantee it's not as much as you think.
Got a couple of texts coming in here. Let's see. Coach Hersom says, I'd probably be paying about $3,000, $3,500 for the Ryder Cup this year. But instead, I'm working it, he says in quotations.
Yeah, because he's like he holds up the sign that says, quiet, please, quiet, please, or he's chauffeuring golfers back and forth from the golf course.
He's the guy that was standing in the middle of the road that ended up causing that. No, anyway, I shouldn't say that. That's a bad joke. Ryan wrote in, said $177 for Sunday's game versus USC. This is on Tick Pick. $170, and again, Tick Pick. Very careful. When you Google that, don't typo. Tick Pick.
Well, while you're on that, Brooks Reynolds is listening this morning. He says, the most expensive ticket in Des Moines is the Champagne Room at Beach Girls, and you should know that. He said, you should know that.
I should know, or you should know that.
No, you should know that.
I should know that. How
That's what he
should I
says.
know that?
He says you should know that.
Let's see. Andy Woodley's listening this morning. He's really riveted by our talk this morning. Thanks, Andy.
Matt says, how much were the tickets that sold out Energy Championship game back in the day? Maybe $50, maybe.
I don't even think that. I was there that night. It was like a whiteout. That was fun. That was a fun night. I don't think that was too much, though, Matt. Charlie, did you see Charlie Echo? I don't think that's his real name. There was a, excuse me, some dumbass paid $2 million for a VIP package to that Tyson Paul show.
Yeah.
He says fight, but it was a show.
It was a show. I mean, there is, in 2015, the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight was a pretty expensive ticket. It ranged from $1,500 to $180,000 for ringside seats. $180,000 to sit. The Masters badges for the tournament can reach upwards of $10,000. That's for, you got practice rounds at $1,500, and tournament days can cost $10,000. The most, one of the most expensive just tournaments is Wimbledon. Now, you know my love affair with tennis. I love watching tennis, and Wimbledon is, I don't have many bucket lists, but Wimbledon would be right up there. Single day final can run you about $2,800. And even getting in for some of those early rounds is really, really expensive. And the other one was the UEFA Champions League final. Is that like Manchester United and stuff like that?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm the wrong dude to ask about that. What about the World Cup? How come and somebody put that in our chat about World Cup final tickets? They're not on the list?
And not at that website. Again, I went with the most recent article written because there were some from like 2015, some from 2019, and I'm sure it's varied. It's just when you're talking $1,700 for an Iowa women's basketball game just to get a glimpse at Caitlyn Clark, I think it just kind of puts it in perspective of where this game is sitting compared to some of the biggest sporting events in the world.
I think you added that important caveat there, Trav. She's not even playing.
No.
She's in the building.
That's it. I mean,
Casey might have hit it here. The NASCAR tickets and again, that's not quite Des Moines, but Des Moines area. I would consider that a Des Moines ticket. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. I think that fits.
I think you could make the argument. That both the IndyCar race and the NASCAR race last year at Newton, they are the IndyCar race every year, brought to you by Iowa Corn, is probably the biggest sporting event in Central Iowa, right? Just because it is top of its league. That's as big as it gets. And when NASCAR came to Newton, that was a dream come true. That was the biggest racing event maybe in Iowa history.
Kirk says absolutely, dude. No doubt about it. And now on that global perspective.
Yes.
Locally, every Cy-Hawk football game has more fervor than the NASCAR thing did. But globally, no doubt about it. Kirk says the AFC Championship game this past Sunday was $275. Now, that's the 300 levels to get in at, I'm assuming he's talking about down at, I call it Arrowhead. What's it called?
Gia Field. Gia Field. It's Arrowhead Stadium to me. It's never going to change.
$275, that does not seem bad to me at all.
No.
To get, that's a deal.
I had a buddy, he's a huge Bills fan, and he had tickets to go to the game. But his family decided to call like a family get-together, and he's like, I needed to be at the game, but he goes, I hadn't talked to my dad. His mom had passed away, his sister had passed away. He's like, we're all going to do this. 2 hours before the get-together, they all canceled.
No.
They canceled on him. He had tickets. He goes, I knew I should have gone, but I tried to do the right thing. And they all canceled and said, well, it's weather, cold, don't want to get together. and he was out. And he was bummed. He goes, I wanted the Bills to win. This goes back to our earlier conversation about, fandom. He goes, there's just nothing better than a live NFL experience. You can watch it on TV, you get excited, you do all that things, but live NFL is where it's at. And I haven't been to a live NFL game maybe in 20 years.
Travis, you see Kevin commenting? Kevin commented that earlier he's listening in Illinois earlier today, and now he just said his tickets are $375. I've been to one NFL game, and it was because of Kevin, one of our listeners. Kevin went on my fishing trips with me. He's become my buddy, and he took me down to Arrowhead. Gia
Field. And Rachel brings up a good point because it doesn't happen every year, but the NCAA tournament when it comes to Wells Fargo Arena.
There you go, Rachel. And really, you could probably rank those because there's been a couple of NCAA events. NCAA wrestling, when it came to town, was a big deal. Man, that first, for some reason, Travis, maybe it was because it was that first one. When the women's tournament came to town and like Pat Summitt was here and I think Brittany Griner was playing for Baylor at that time, that for some reason seemed, maybe it was because we were like, oh my gosh, we're getting an NCAA event. I don't know. This would be a fun conversation with Connolly.
Yeah, and we'll have Chris Conley on from Wells Fargo Arena and the Iowa Event Center very, very soon. We got an hour in the books. We got an hour to go. Good to have you along on a Wednesday. Justin Miller going to be joining us around 7:30.
We'll see.
We'll see if he can figure out the technology. It is the Rush Radio Show on therushradio.com.
Not too many places hit all the right notes. But when it comes to great atmosphere and delicious scratch-made food, Truman's is the name to know. Game days are for Chiefs fans, but every day is for the food fans. Truman's, get to know us by name.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquor is home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bobby here at Land Rover Des Moines. Just want to say Happy New Year, and I want to invite you guys in because right now we have over 35 Land Rovers in stock, ready for immediate delivery, like this Range Rover Sport here with $2,000 in loyalty. This is a great time to come on in, find a great vehicle at a great deal. So stop down and see us at the showroom or visit us at LandRoverDesMoines.com. We'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to The Rush Radio at therushradio.com. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us grow that. Follow us on X at Rush Mornings. And, of course, like our Facebook page. And the show is available all day long at therushradio.com. Just click that Listen Live link. And, of course, wherever you listen to your podcast, the show replay will be up there. I'm Travis Justice. He's Ross Peterson. Good first hour. Did you have fun?
Fast, man. Every time you start to go to break, I look down at my clock. I'm like, damn, we're flying.
It just flying right on by, and that's fun. Of course, the Rush Radio Show is powered by Willis Automotive, and you've heard us talk about Willis Automotive. They've got great deals. We'll tell you about a little bit later on the show some of the deals they got on Nissans coming up. That's coming up a little bit later on. What are you thinking? You have that weird look on your face. I lost you. Ross is... Are you there? I lost you, buddy.
How about now? You got me now?
Yeah, I got you. What'd you do?
I don't know what. So I was trying to mute my microphone because I had to cough for a second, and I hit the wrong button. I hit that green button on my Rodecaster.
I have no. I don't have what you have, so I have no. I'm very careful not to push buttons.
Everything went crazy when I did that.
Well, you're back. You scared the hell out of me, but you're back, and that's good. Justin Miller. Back. Yeah, you're back. We hear you, and you're coming loud, and I see your meters moving, so that's
okay.
good.
Good. Yeah, it feels like I'm back.
As long as the meters are moving. There's no excuse, and I would be shocked if the Knapp Center, we talk about tough tickets before, I would be shocked if the Knapp Center was not sold out tonight as Drake takes on Northern Iowa at the Knapp Center. That's going to be a 6 o'clock tip, I believe. Justin Miller is going to join us right around 7:30 to talk about that. Justin we're just going to name him now because he's doing his Missouri Valley Conference / Drake podcast. We are going to call him the authority on Drake athletics and the Missouri Valley Conference.
He's a Drake insider.
Yeah, he and I'd say Missouri Valley Conference insider. I mean, nobody knows more than Justin. I mean, he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that.
Do you think we could get him to give gambling advice on the Missouri Valley?
No,
I don't think Justin would do that either.
No, I don't think he would do that. But I got to thinking about this. Because we've been talking about Fran McCaffrey, we talk about T.J. Otzelberger, we talk Ben McCollum. Have we gotten to the point where Ben Jacobson at UNI is underappreciated? And what he's in his 18th year. Wow. Go back to 2009, 2010. He was the hottest commodity in basketball at that time. UNI was really good. They had gone to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. There were thoughts that he would go to Texas A&M. There were thoughts that he would go to Minnesota. Then it became pretty evident that Ben Jacobson's not going anywhere, right? I mean, he's UNI. And I think the longer he stays, which is good, it's good for UNI, it's good for the Missouri Valley Conference, but you say, well, he's not going anywhere. You haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2016. Do you become, in general, maybe just lost or underappreciated by basketball fans in the state of Iowa?
What a great question, Travis. Is he underappreciated? I think so, because of the results that he gets. I mean, again, we talked about it a little bit on Monday with Justin. Like, every year it seems like we kind of have this broken record type of thing with UNI. Every year he's got a dude that's amazing. He's got a dude that is like one of the best players in the league, if not one of the best players in the state, and in some cases one of those rare players in the country. And at the beginning of the year, you there's moments where you look around and go, "Ooh, why isn't UNI playing well?" And then March comes and nobody wants a part of him because they just get better. He does what a good coach is supposed to do. He gets his team better every year. But in this world, man, results are what matter.
True.
For the perspective of doing it from Cedar Falls, Iowa, in the Missouri Valley, a conference that has just continually let down Drake and UNI. I mean, it went from being a 2 or 3 bid league in our lifetime to now, holding on to that 1 bid league thing. I'd say yes, Travis. His career has no doubt been a success at UNI when you think about what that job is. And despite the fact that you don't have, a Final Four run or something, or the Wichita State or Creighton success, yeah, he's underappreciated for what he does there with the tools he has.
Yeah, and if this gets back to him, it's not disrespectful because I think Ben Jacobson's one hell of a coach, and all he does is win. Now, do you get to the NCAA tournament every year? No, you haven't been since 2016. But this team doesn't have many lows. Has some highs, but doesn't have many lows. And you're at some place for 18 years. That's a long time. But when it becomes evident that you're not going to go anywhere, or that you may not want to go anywhere, you just kind of like, well, you're just there,
man.
You know.
These conversations hurt, Travis, because I was a guy. Obviously, I spent 20 years at one job. I like to consider myself an extremely loyal person. Where when I'm dedicated to it, man, it's hard for me to give it up. That unfortunately, that doesn't pay off in today's world. It doesn't pay off. Ben Jacobson has had a wonderful career. He will be an institution at UNI forever. They will know the name of Ben Jacobson and what he did in the years he dedicated to UNI. What would have been better for him at the time? Would it have been better for him to kind of do? And I see Tony's, would it have been better for him to do the Darren DeVries thing? Couple years, bounce. Couple years, bounce. Now, Darren, let's be careful here. Darren was very much that committed, loyal guy at Creighton through many different coaches, which is rare.
Well,
that
two coaches through Dana and Greg McDermott.
And Greg, okay. Which is, again, just a rarity that an assistant coach would stick around like that. Says a lot about Darren.
Yeah, because, Dana left to go to Arkansas, which was like a 2-day thing. Darren had made I don't know if Darren was invited or not to go be on that staff. Dana went to Oregon then, which has turned out great for Oregon. Bruce Rasmussen and I think Greg McDermott really put the pressure on Darren and said, hey, don't go out there, stay here. And you're right. You're like, okay, where's my career at? And Darren always wanted to be a head coach. I know that because he talked to me about it. And the two previous times that he wasn't hired at Drake, we had talked beforehand. Hey, can you talk to anybody to get my name out there for Drake? Because he wanted that job in the worst way. But I think he also knew. I think he has that competitive fire in him. And when you coach in the Big East, like he was with Creighton, and you have mentors like Dana Altman and Greg McDermott, who Greg was at Northern Iowa, went to Iowa State, didn't have the success at Iowa State that I think he would like, got a nice fresh start at Creighton. Then you see Dana take Oregon to the Final Four. You go, oh, maybe it's best not to stay at one place too long.
I think a lot of us could look around and see people in our lives that did that bounce thing. 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, find something new. 3 to 5 years, find something new. Climb the ladder, bounce.
Danny Nee told me, Danny Nee is a former basketball coach at Nebraska. And he was there, 10 plus years. And I'll never forget this. What you just said is what he told me. He goes, after about 7 years, you should probably bounce. One, because if you're having success at that time, you're being set in your ways, right? And I think like a Krzyzewski, an Izzo, a Roy, we're not talking this, right?
Right.
That's a different
level.
That's a different level.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you should probably bounce about every 7 years because one of two things happens. You become complacent and secure and satisfied, or like Fran McCaffrey's at right now, who has winning records, but fan fatigue sits in and they're just sick of you.
Dude, familiarity breeds contempt. The other thing that I think happens is when you first impressions are hard to change. All these cliches are cliches for a reason because they're true.
Yes.
And these sayings stick around and get repeated because they're true. When you start at a place, people get an impression of who you are, what you are. It's really hard, even over 20 years, to change that impression of people, that people have of you. In my situation, when you are 20 years old or 22 years old and you started a job, you're a kid. You're a child. Sorry, 22-year-olds out there. You're a child at 22. And then when you're 42 and you're looking around and going, hey, I'm not that kid anymore. But you still work with the same people who, they see you as that kid. So it's hard to change those first impressions. And that's why, 5-7 years, get out. Is Ben Jacobson underappreciated? That's a really good question, Travis, because I feel like he's very much appreciated. I mean, I think people in the state of Iowa understand what a great coach he is, what a great job he has done. I think that a lot of people in Iowa, I hope, are appreciative of his commitment, that he stuck around this state. That doesn't mean I don't have any fault towards Darren. I don't think any less of a guy because he goes and gets a better opportunity somewhere else and chases.
Yeah, because you go from making $400,000 or $500,000 a year to $3.5 million at West Virginia. That's a no-brainer, right? I mean, that's life-changing money.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's anybody who's been a better ambassador for you and I than Ben Jacobson. But let's use Mark Farley as an example. Mark Farley, is a guy who gave his life to Northern Iowa. He says he retired. I have a feeling it was, hey, it's time to leave. And that is fan familiarity kind of sets in. You're like, hey, maybe this can go somewhere else. Maybe if North Dakota State, if South Dakota State can do this, why can't Northern Iowa compete at that? And you throw in one bad season, they've been declining, it can happen. But again, we'll talk more about Ben Jacobson. We'll talk more about the Drake UNI game coming up at 7:30 with Justin Miller. You were going to say something?
I saw Johnny on the chat say, hey, I think it's an issue when a 22-year-old's considered a child. I just mean in that workplace environment, when you are walking into an environment where 65-year-olds are still and they've been in the business for 40 years. When you are 22 years old, you are a newborn in that world. So that's the context I meant with that, Johnny. But you're right. In the real world, 22, better have your poop in a group.
Did you see where Michigan is poking back at the NCAA over the sign stealing saga?
No,
they're saying, okay, you've blown this out of proportion. You're overreaching. You're overcharging. Lack of true evidence. They're saying of the 54 games that Stallions is being accused of stealing signs from, he was only physically at one game. Other games they've been accused of, family members were at the games, which is not against NCAA regulations.
Right.
And by the way, we've had coaches on the show say sign stealing is part of the. I mean, every coach says they steal signs, and all they're saying is these aren't level 1 violations. They'd prefer them to be level 2. They're not disputing that it happened. But they think it should be level 2 violations, not level 1 violations.
Trav, I don't know how I feel. My brain kind of goes in both directions on this because it is like a Lance Armstrong thing to me. Like everybody was doing it. You guys got caught. You guys were a little bit too egregious about it. A little bit too non-discreet in it. I love these. This is so fun to me. He was only at one game.
In disguise. In disguise.
Trav, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about this because he is. They got caught. They were stealing signs. Does every team try to do this? Absolutely. At most levels. I mean, certainly once you get money involved, this stuff has been happening for a long time. This, advanced scouting stuff, which is what this was. It's an evolution of just advanced scouting.
Can you imagine when AI really starts to kick in and be able to read things? Now, the communications in the helmet in college football is going to play a huge part in this because you can talk to a defensive player, you can talk to an offensive player. But what I think is interesting about this, now there were some coaches that kind of blew back on it. Most of the backlash on this were from fans, right? They're like, "Oh my God, you're stealing fans, stealing signs." Most coaches, especially at higher, they just kind of took a back seat, didn't say anything. You had Matt Rule at Nebraska say everybody steals signs, and it wouldn't shock me that if you go to most stadiums, there's family members or other people from other institutions that are at these games paying attention.
I just remember that conversation we had with Mark Farley, and I don't remember what game it was or where he was, but he told us a story about a fan coming to the locker room who had been sitting in the front row of at the opponent, like across the field, sitting in the front row, and came over to say, "Hey, just FYI."
Paying attention. I'm seeing this because he was sitting behind the opponent's bench and heard and interpreted everything they did.
So, all right, this is going to seem like a weird veer, but give me a minute here. Have you ever used Google Earth?
Yeah.
It's a free website that you can go to, and it's amazing what you can find on Google Earth, right?
And you may not know this about Google Earth. Owen pointed this out to me. And by the way, another thank you to my son, who none of this would be possible of us being on the air without Owen Justice.
Love you, Owen.
He is our technical guru. But he discovered something the other day on Google Earth or Google Maps that you can go to a place, right? And you can click backwards and over time. You can go back to, if you want to know, whenever they started taking photos, let's say 2012.
Something like that.
Yeah. You can actually see like a time lapse of a place that is there.
That's the free website. Free.
Yes.
Totally free. Now you can pay. You can pay for websites that give you unbelievable access. Unbelievable access. Right?
And it's scary.
So you got the free stuff that a lot of us think is scary. And then there's the paid stuff that's wild. The same thing is true with this thing that we're talking about. The information, the free stuff, the free website is, oh yeah, by the way, sometimes a fan sits behind the bench of the opposing team and relays information to the locker room. Now imagine the stuff that they can pay for. Now imagine the information that money gets you. When that information's free, what happens when you start throwing cash around? Big cash around. Then you've got dudes at home doing homework on different signs so they can see this happen and know which way the blocking scheme is going.
When it comes to stealing signs or trying to get an edge, my question to you is: do you think this is a level 1 violation or level 2 violation?
I don't even understand that language. Like, I would really need to know what do those two things mean.
It's a level of seriousness of how much trouble you're going to get.
I understand that. What do you know how to elaborate maybe on what those punishments are for level 1 and level 2? And
probably talking scholarship losses. Maybe a postseason ban. Maybe a fine. Level 2 would be, hey, you're on probation, don't do it again, type thing. Double secret probation from Animal House. But I look at, like, we've seen stories of people flying drones over practices. That's different than going to a game, to me, which is a public event in the first place, which up to 30 years ago, going and scouting your opponent was a legal activity, and they only cut down.
High schools do that. High schools send dads and other coaches to, hey, we're playing Valley next week. Go watch them play Dowling this week.
Yes. And the only reason they stopped doing it at college is to cut down on expense, because they would send people like, oh, we don't need to spend that money.
Now, that's one thing. Now, take a video camera, hide it, record the opposing team's sideline, and then we're gonna lay that over the top of the actual game film and hack their system. That's another then we've compounded it, right?
Yeah.
Advanced scouting is always going to happen. You're always going to be able to watch a game and try to get an edge or find something there. I don't know how you draw that line with technology, Travis, because we live in a weird world, man, and it's advancing very quickly. And I think that the right thing to do is embrace it and not try to put hurdles in the way of it. But I don't know what that all looks like.
And I think, let's go back to the Astros.
Yeah.
The difference here is this was advanced scouting, right? So you're going to watch a team, you're trying to figure out their signals, blah, blah, blah. The Astros is a little different because that was happening in-game. That was like real in-game cheating. Now, you would try to do that as well, but you're also interpreting and completely different. Or maybe it's not. Do you think the Astros?
No. You're nailing this. You're absolutely right. They were using that technology. That's compounded again on that other level, because now they were using that technology that they weren't supposed to be using in real time to get information. I mean, dude, that's some next level stuff, because they're hacking that system so quick. From the time you get that pitch signal to come set and you're banging on a trash can, it's amazing.
Let's take it a step further in Major League Baseball now, because you have these such advanced simulators that during the break, you can go into your batting tunnel, put your opposing pitcher on the screen and simulate pitches. Is that cheating?
Yeah, spin rate of his exact pitch selection. You can see exactly how he's throwing those pitches at that time. Is that cheating? Is that, again, back to that? Isn't that just using the technology to your advantage? Isn't that just embracing the tools that you have in your toolbox?
It is, but if you're a guy who can't hit a curveball from a certain pitcher, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have him throw me 7 straight curveballs as I'm waiting to go on deck.
Yeah. And then you're the pitcher who's going, all right, man, I know Justice can't hit that curveball. Here we go. If I can just get out of this at-bat and get Justice up here, I can get him out with that curveball. And the dude's back there the whole time just teeing off on your curveball.
Here might be the best question when it comes to this. It comes from Mike, who's listening on YouTube.
I don't know. Mike has been he's been a great listener so far, man. He's contributed a lot. Thank you, Mike.
He goes, if everyone does it, is it cheating?
Great question.
And I think from a fan's perspective, you're going to say yes. But from maybe a coach and a player perspective, and you know what's happening against you, you're going to say, it's not cheating.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. From a fan's, because when I see Mike's question, I go, yeah, it's cheating. There's rules, and they're breaking the rules. From a coach's and a competitor's perspective, they're looking around and going, I cannot do my job, which is to compete, unless I'm using these tools that everybody else is using.
515-517-2303. Let's go to Elliot. Elliot, welcome to the Rush Radio. What's going on?
Morning, guys. Great to hear you back together again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Thanks for calling in.
Congratulations on the show. It sounds, yeah, man, 3 days in, it's going great. Home run each day. So excited for you guys.
Thank you.
I'm joining the conversation a little late, but has Jerome Tang been brought up yet?
Oh, no.
Because he comes back to Hilton Coliseum on Saturday, and I have a personal beef with the guy, as do many Cyclones, because he called into the integrity of Hilton Coliseum into question a year ago. And it was over this issue, which was totally unjustified, and obviously it had quite a bit of fallout. And the guy, I think, has lost quite a few more games than he's won since then. But I'm curious your thoughts on how Hilton should welcome him in light of his allegations a year ago on this very topic, because I think it's a worthy subject. I personally think we should be buying up every camcorder at every Goodwill in Central Iowa and have every fan have one. But I was curious if this was a discussion to be had on how to welcome Jerome Tang to Hilton Coliseum, the place where fans cheat. So curious your thoughts.
And thanks for the phone call, Elliot. I think it would be fun, especially from the student section, is like come in like trench coats, sunglasses, and like a fake mustache, and like
do the old Bobby Valentine.
Yeah, in like a little GoPro, or if you really want to go to some pawn shop and say, hey, do you have like a 2005 camcorder where you're able to just, hey, we're zooming in on you.
See, that's what I think, Elliot, the mental image that he put in my head was that. But that now you're talking about a pretty good expense, and really kind of you'd buy all those up very quickly, because there's not a lot of Super 8 cameras, handy cams sitting around at pawn shops. But
that's right.
But the fake mustache and glasses, Travis, like you're the pseudo spy type of thing.
Yeah,
that's fun. I mean, honestly, I think and Chris has the idea here on it. He said, "Hell, get some flip phones." Just taking out if everybody were to stand around and just hold their phone, like that, even that would kind of have the same.
But in all seriousness, now think about Facebook has the Meta Ray-Bans that are recording stuff all the time. I mean, this is going to get really, really crazy in the next couple of years.
What would you, if you're to Elliot's point, what would be the best way? I love these ideas. I think all of these are fun. The spy costume is good. If you got a handy cam, that's fun. I mean, come on. Good one, Elliot. I like it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, can I ask one more question?
Sure,
quick?
sure.
You good with that?
Yep.
All right. So I think it was about a year ago. You guys charged us with Lover Stock or Killer homework, and I just wanted to say we need another round of that, because that was one of the most fun moments in my Netflix career. So I need something to watch, and I need some homework to debate on the Rush. So find something and have us dig into it so we can come back with thoughts, because that was good stuff.
We can do that. We have more time to do that.
Guys.
Thanks, Elliot.
Congrats again.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, Chris is confused on some things. He says people should dress up like the Burger King burglar. I thought that the Hamburglar was a McDonald's thing.
Yeah, McDonald's is Hamburglar is McDonald's, because he has like a the jail jumpsuit on.
Yeah.
It is very much McDonald's. Just
but
to let everybody know.
Why does that feel like there's also a Burger King burglar?
Oh, I don't think so.
Chris just did a brain worm to me. He just put something in there that shouldn't be there.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Rush Radio Show YouTube page. If you're watching on YouTube right now, give us a subscribe. Follow us on X at Rush Mornings. And, of course, like our Facebook page. It's good to have you along on the rushradio.com, powered by Willis Automotive. Hey, folks, you know what's hot at Willis Auto right now? 3 all-new 2025 Nissan models that you've got to check out. Meet the 2025 Nissan Armada, a full-size SUV that's perfect for your family adventures, plenty of space, comfort, and power to get you there in style. Looking for something versatile? The 2025 Nissan Murano is a midsize SUV that combines sleek design and ultimate comfort. And if you want tech, the all-wheel drive without breaking the bank, check out the 2025 Nissan Kicks, loaded with features and starting around $25,000. Find your perfect Nissan today at Willis Auto. Visit them in-store or shop online anytime at willisauto.com. Willis Auto, more than an auto dealership. It's your next great drive.
Missing a quality home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life, Welcome to the Champagne of Bars.
You know why Central City Liquor is always so busy?
Yeah, it's because of the cash coupon.
Saving money is important, but honestly, I think it's our huge variety, the convenience of our store.
Nah, I'm going to stick with the everyday cash coupon.
Well, the guys come in for those great values, but the ladies come in to see me, you know.
I don't think so.
Morning, Tom. I got cash coupon today.
Good deal. That's going to save you some money on that bottle, Mike.
Central City Liquors, open 7 days a week, 5 blocks north of 235 on 2nd Avenue. Save 10% when you pay in cash.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
Start the new year with a new car at Willis Chevrolet of Granger. We have the largest inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles in the area, and we're offering huge savings during our new year new car sales event. Save up to $8,000 on selected 2024 Silverado 1500s or $10,000 on Tahoes or Suburbans. Looking for something affordable? Check out the Trax and Trailblazer starting at just $23,000. At Willis Chevrolet of Granger, we're your small, friendly, family-owned dealership. For great deals and great service, visit us at Willis Chevrolet at Granger today.
A reminder that you can listen to the Rush Radio Show all day long. Go to therushradio.com, click the Listen Live link, and you'll be able to hear us. If you are a podcast subscriber, this is not a podcast. It is a radio show on internet radio, but we do replay the show on podcast channels. You can find us on all your favorite podcast channels, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, and of course, Podbean. So make sure to check it out. We got a big game coming up tonight at the Knapp Center. Northern Iowa takes on Drake. And joining us, I think we got this technology right.
Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Whoa.
Look what we got. We've got Justin Miller joining us.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
You look good.
Thank you. You guys look good, too.
Yeah.
I like Ross. Your background looks better and better each day.
We can't figure out my camera, dude, because I've got my camera turned up to the highest resolution we can get it. It's on like 1080, and it still looks grainy. And Mike just wrote that in. He's like, "Yeah, Ross's needs to be bumped up a few pixels." So
Ross is just going to go to Best Buy or someplace this afternoon and buy a new camera.
That's what we're going to do. Yeah,
that's what he's going to do.
Exactly what's going to happen.
Now, Justin, we pumped you up. We heard from you the other day. I think it was on Monday when you couldn't figure anything out. But I don't know if you heard us today. Yeah. We're calling you the foremost Drake expert when it comes to basketball. There's nobody who knows more about Drake basketball than you. And we're going to give that title to you for the Missouri Valley Conference as well. But big game tonight at the Knapp Center. Bennett Sturtz, your Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Week. We're probably going to be a sellout tonight. Wouldn't be shocked if it's completely sold out. But thoughts on tonight's game as you're going to be sitting in media row.
Well, yeah. One, Bennett Sturtz has had an amazing start to his great Drake career. And The plan is simple for Drake going up against you and I. This is going to be a great game. These two teams, looking at the stats and where they sit in the conference, I mean, it's what you would want in an in-state rivalry where you have Drake sitting at second in the conference. You have you and I sitting right behind him at third. And then all the stats, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, turnovers, they're right neck and neck with each other. But the plan is simple for Drake. At this point in the year, we know what they're good at. We know their kind of their weaknesses and points where they could get better. And that's just get Bennett Sturtz involved early, get Mitch Muscari his confidence and into a shooting rhythm early as well. And then the biggest part, and I think a lot of teams in college basketball would say this, just get the bench depth involved too. I mean, Isaiah Howard, the true freshman at Drake, has been incredible. His rebounding, I think, is one of the biggest key factors with his play style. His athleticism is crazy good. And so last game against Missouri State, who still is winless in the Missouri Valley and took Drake into overtime on the road, was the bench outscored their bench 21-7. And I think that was a key factor to them winning that crazy close game in overtime. And UNI is very similar to Drake, where they have 4 guys scoring 10 plus points. Well, now 3 guys scoring 10 plus, because it was announced yesterday that their sophomore forward, Leon Bond, is probably going to be out for the rest of the season, dealing with an injury against Indiana State. So now both teams only have 3 guys that average 10-plus points. They both are looking for bench depth to help them out tonight. And you're going to see a great guard matchup between you have Titan Anderson, who I love, one of my favorite players since he was a freshman and just kind of gets forgotten about because he's at UNI. And then going up against Bennett Sturts, who quietly puts up 18 points a game, 19 points a game.
Thanks for that 5 minutes of, monologue.
I have a couple questions from it. I thought he gave us several avenues to go back down.
He did.
One of those, Justin, when you said they're looking to do that thing that every team in college basketball is doing, and you went to bench depth, which is true. I thought you were going to say get back on defense because they have done it defensively. This has been a really good team throughout the year. When you said we know what they do good and we know what they don't do well, what doesn't I'm not trying to fluff their pillow too much. What is this team's weakness?
I think the weakness is just trying to get more people involved outside of Sturts and Miscary. I mean, at times, Mitch was going through a lull after he, went crazy against Kansas State. He hadn't put up more than 6 points, it felt like. Maybe he had one game that he had 9 points, but his shooting was real low. And then you just, against Murray State in that loss, it was really Bennett Sturts and Isaiah Howard, and that was about it for scoring. It's just trying to get more players involved outside of your 2 main guys of Miscary and Sturts.
Did you hear our conversation earlier about Ben Jacobson and being underappreciated? And I'm not saying it to be negative, but your thoughts on that, because I've been around Ben since he started at Northern Iowa. You're a little bit younger, not a little bit. You're a lot younger. From your perspective, is Ben Jacobson underappreciated and what he's been able to do in 18 years, in the middle of his 18th year?
I would say he's just underappreciated for, if I asked one of my buddies, hey, who's Ben Jacobson? I don't think they would really have an idea. Because
you're talking a local buddy, somebody who's right here in Iowa. If you said, who's Ben Jacobson?
If I just said Ben Jacobson, who is he? I think it would take them I don't know, give me hints. They would need hints, I think. But from a national level, people that do focus on basketball 24/7 are watching the games. This is a guy that he's beat, number 1 teams in his career. He beat Kansas in the Sweet 16, in the second round. He beat North Carolina at home, who was a number 1 team in 2015. He's won Coach of the Year, I think, 5 times in his career. He's the second most winningest coach in the Missouri Valley in their 117-year history. This guy, I don't think, is underappreciated. I just think it's a really cool and rare thing to have a guy that good stay this long in the Missouri Valley. And while I know you guys were talking about, was that a good career move? Should he have done what Darren DeVries did? From a Missouri Valley fan perspective, I'm so happy he stayed because he is a fantastic coach. He's one of my favorites to just watch coach, too. He's kind of like a Bill Self in a way where you enjoy watching the game just as much as watching him just dictate the players on the court. You can visually see the X's and O's running in his brain. So I love Ben Jacobson. I don't think he's underappreciated from a national level.
Justin Miller joining us. Now, Drake in second place in the Missouri Valley Conference, a game behind Bradley, but they have the win at Bradley. So if tiebreaker comes into the mix, they lost those 2 games. They lost at home to Murray State. They lost at UIC. Now they're on a 6-game winning streak. They kind of changed things up offensively a little bit. And they still will run the shot clock down, but it seems like they're taking shots maybe a little quicker. And it was always work for the best shot, not the first shot. Has that changed a little bit? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I have. And one of my big criticisms of them early on was they were very they did those screens the most I've ever seen, where it was just 2 dribbles. Oh, there's a guy there to set a screen. There was constant screens, and it felt at times like they were moving, but without a purpose in a way. Where now you're seeing a change where you have backdoor cuts becoming a huge factor. Guys are moving without the ball more efficiently. And I think that's the big thing I've enjoyed watching is just Ben McCollum adjusting throughout the season.
My favorite part of this, having Justin back, has been the comments. And thank you, Travis, so much for introducing me to the comment section today, and that I can watch these scroll in.
Oh, can I?
Don't let it be a crutch, though.
No, Justin, you can't have access to it.
I do.
It would hurt your feelings. Oh, you do?
Yeah, I'm reading it now.
Oh.
Justin, you still look 12 by Sarah. I'll take that as a compliment. Talks longer than a commercial break on KXNO is gold.
Oh,
can I like it?
Talks longer than a hockey coach. Charlie's on fire. Ray wants to know if you've had any flat tires lately.
No, but my battery died in my car.
Can you afford a battery down? By the way, what is the unemployment check from the state of Iowa? Is it like $100 a week, $200 a week?
No, they take what you were getting at your normal job, and it's a little lower, but they come close to matching it. So
you're getting like $27 a week, something like that.
Yeah.
How long does that go? 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, a year, or until
16 weeks? So it'll end here in a little bit in February.
Are you going to get a job? Are you going to get a job?
Yeah,
Okay.
the plan, honestly, is to keep doing my Media Row podcast and see where that takes me. And then, honestly, I'm fine working in the summer at some golf course and just being outside as much as I can be and just enjoy doing like a summer job for a bit and then worry about the other stuff later.
Did you have to tell Megan, the engagement's probably off the table for a little bit? Or, no, now's the time to get engaged. It really is. Because if you have to do 3 months' salary for the ring, I'm telling you, dude, now's the time to do it. Okay? Now's the time.
Megan's been awesome about everything. But I've been telling her, let's wait a while, even when I had a job. So, yeah, it's definitely been pushed off.
No, get the ring now. Say, hey, I bought this when I was unemployed. I really did devote 3 months' salary to this ring, and this is what you get.
So, should
That's
I
what I
get her
did.
like one of those ring pop rings? And that's my 3 months salary.
No. I got my wife her wedding ring when I was still working at part-time at KCCI in Des Moines, and I got my first credit card. It was a Zales card. I bought it at Valley West Mall.
Justin, do you know what Zales is?
It sounds familiar.
It's kind of like
Is it like
what's the every kiss begins with K? K's. It's kind of like
no, that's K's Jewelers.
Yeah, no. I'm saying Zales was kind of like a K. It was a chain jewelry store. Is that fair, Travis? I mean, I'm not trying to
no,
100%. Them, but
yeah,
okay.
They were the. It wasn't like to go to a Zales, you had to go to a mall. It wasn't like they ever had a standalone store. What's a mall? The sad thing is, I actually believed you when you said that. I'm like, oh my god, I got to explain to this kid what a mall is. But you could only, Greenberg's Jewelers. I think that was one of those that you would go to a mall. Zales. What? So
you're hitting them. You're hitting them all.
Yeah, they'd be stationed, and I found this ring. I'm like, oh, I want this ring, and it's like $850. And when you're 22 years old, 21 years old, you're like, oh my god, I can't afford this. So I took out a Zales card, but that was probably 3 months' salary back when I was part time at KCCI. So my wife got a ring that was 3 months' salary when I was 21 years old. Actually, I think I bought that when I was 18. Because she turned me down 3 times. So I did ask her when I was 18. She said no. Asked her again. She said no. And then...
Did you ever think about taking the ring back to Zales?
No, because whoever I was going to marry was going to get that ring. I was not doing it all over again. You got it right there. I'm like, if she's not going to marry me, somebody's going to get this ring. But thank God she married me, and we're in 31 years right now, so that's good.
You wore her down. It was like that pressure defense that you see from teams where in the first half they can score on you, but by the second half they're tired.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Man. It's going to be a big crowd at the Knapp Center tonight. And there's no excuse here. If you don't have tickets and there's some available, there's not a bad seat in the Knapp Center.
No.
There's just not. So fill the Knapp Center. There will be some purple there tonight, be a lot of blue there. They're striping the Knapp Center tonight. Now, it's going to be weird because it's going to go blue, white, blue, white. It's going to go blue, white, purple, blue, white, purple, purple. Yeah, I mean, because there will be some purple.
It's going to go blue, purple, white, purple. Blue, purple, white, purple.
You're right by there not being a bad seat in that place because I've sat, on press row, and I've also sat all the way at top. I remember going to in like 2013 or 14 with my dad to a Wichita State game there, and we sat at the very top, like right corner. Melvin Edgem was there randomly. I met Melvin Edgem and Naz Long at that game when I was like 12 years old. But yeah, I've sat everywhere in that building and loved every game that I went to.
All right, buddy. It's always good catching up with you. And, as we get deeper into the season, especially when you go down to St. Louis, because you're going to St. Louis for Arch Madness.
Yep.
And if you want, and there you'll be covering, I'm sure you and I as well, because they're going to be down there. Let's just plan on you doing some stuff from St. Louis. We're not going to pay you because we can't. Unless we found a sponsor for you to do it. But it's we could probably do that. But and maybe you guys are working on that. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs. But especially as the season goes along, bigger games coming up. Let's have you on to give us the Missouri Valley rundown. We're just not going to let you talk Ohio State. That's one thing we're not going to let you do.
Don't want to talk about the champs?
Okay, bye,
Champs
Justin.
Just get
See
forgotten
you, Justin.
about?
Yeah,
See you, man.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if I've met a guy as passionate about one team. And that shows you how when you're a kid, you can be influenced by a team, right? Because he was influenced as a kid by the Adam Emenecker team and that team that was so good in the Missouri Valley Conference. It had such an impression on him that he became a lifelong Bulldog fan. Now, because usually you outgrow that, right? And what I mean by is, as you get older, you're like, well, I'm going to venture towards a bigger team or something. He hasn't done that. He's been Drake through and through.
I mean, he, again, influenced as a young kid by that Emenecker team, then went to Drake. And I think anybody that ever paid money to go to a college understands that you have an affection towards that. Able to do, he wanted to be a media guy, got the job in local media. And now that's if he can turn that passion into a career, man, what a fun life ahead for young Justin. And such a love that guy. He's got a heart of gold.
He really does. And it was nice of him to join us today. And, of course, he won't be a stranger. He'll be back on a regular time. And I just got confirmation. We do have a guest coming up next week. And this is a sports show with a life feel. But, Ross, you may know her, but Tammy Pescatelli she's going to join us next Tuesday.
I'm going to the Tammy P show next Saturday.
Are you really? Well,
yeah.
You're going to talk to her beforehand. Next Tuesday, she's going to join us live here on The Rush Radio.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we'll take another commercial time out. We'll be back and wrap up today's show on therushradio.com.
Not too many places hit all the right notes. But when it comes to great atmosphere and delicious scratch-made food, Truman's is the name to know. Game days are for Chiefs fans, but every day is for the food fans. Truman's, get to know us by name.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bobby here at Land Rover Des Moines. Just want to say Happy New Year, and I want to invite you guys in because right now we have over 35 Land Rovers in stock, ready for immediate delivery, like this Range Rover Sport here with $2,000 in loyalty. This is a great time to come on in, find a great vehicle at a great deal. So stop down and see us at the showroom or visit us at LandRoverDesMoines.com. We'll be glad you did.
Yeah, you were there, buddy. You were there, standing up. Were you putting your belt on, or what were you doing?
Oh no, I was connecting my my headphones.
Oh, okay. And just inside baseball here, you're probably wondering when you were going to do that Willis Auto Nissan read. I did it last break when you got up and left right away, so we got that in.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some. I just have some other things happening around the house in the mornings.
Yeah, that's true. Being a single dad is not easy, and you got to get the little ones ready for school. Totally understand that. Hey, don't forget you and I, Drake, tonight, 6 o'clock at the Knapp Center. Get there, sell that place out. We touched on a lot of things. I know you're a Yankees fan, and Steinbrenner said yesterday that they are going to start negotiating a contract extension for Aaron Boone. I like this. He's been there 8 years. He's going to be 52. I've always liked Aaron Boone. There's no reason to make a change. They went to the World Series. They've consistently been to the playoffs. I know they want World Series titles, but man, who else are you going to get that's any better than Aaron Boone?
That's the question that you should ask, Travis, honestly. And I think that's the same thing that scares Hawkeye fans away from a change with Kirk Ferentz, right? It's like, well, who's going to come do the job that he has done? And I kind of feel that same way about Aaron Boone. I've heard Yankee fans complain about this. I've seen some of this chatter over the years of like, well, he's not delivering a World Series. Man, it's a tough world right now. That's Yankee fans got spoiled. You got really spoiled being able to climb to the mountaintop several times back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I'm with you. I like Aaron Boone. I don't know who else is going to come in and be able to handle all of those egos that are on that team right now. He seems like uniquely equipped to handle the New York media, which doesn't bother him at all. It's water on a duck's back for him. There's a lot of big egos on that team when you bring Soto in, and he seems to have handled it well.
Do you think Soto will be a huge loss for the Yankees? Because Steinbrenner is kind of saying that the roster might be better without him.
And maybe part of that is that ego thing. I don't know. And if they're saying that stuff, that could be that might be part of it. Corey, just keep throwing more money at those Yankees. They're going to be fine. That, unfortunately, is what they're going to do. What do we do with the problem? Throw more money at it.
But I would say the Yankees are more conservative money-wise than the Dodgers. Dodgers throwing money. They signed a guy for $13 million yesterday.
Dude,
just for the Dodgers are making the Yankees look like a small market team.
And all this deferred money and stuff, like they're playing all this shell game that other teams will start to pick up on that. Other teams will start to do that. I think that it's a bad precedent that the Dodgers have set there.
Do you think deferred payment should come to an end? I know the Bonilla thing was one thing, but what we're seeing now, deferred payment is just...
I mean, the Bonilla thing to
it's almost like a Ponzi scheme, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels that way, doesn't it? The Bonilla thing, when you core down on that was his people saying this is better for Bobby. He needs the money later, not the money now, which a lot of us would be in that situation.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problem with that, and it seemed at the time to make financial sense for the Mets. Obviously, now every July 1st, you're like, kind of mock it. I think that something, yeah, Travis, it does feel like a Ponzi scheme. It does feel like a shell game is probably the best term I have for it.
I mean, what I'm not saying these teams are going to go broke, but you're responsible for millions, probably close to $1 billion.
And I do see a comment from Ken that says all MLB teams do deferred contracts and have for decades. We actually talked about this last July. Remember, Travis? We went and pulled up a bunch of those. Like, there's ones that there's even more famous players than Bobby Bonilla, and there's bigger dollars that are paid out in those annuities. So every team does this. You're right, but I do think that we kind of jumped the shark with this Ohtani thing.
Yes, he's right, but we were talking about manageable money. Now you're getting into big time money where you're like, woof, you got a lot to pay there. Quick reminder as we wrap up today's show that we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that if you're watching on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right now. That would be very much appreciated. You can follow us on X at Rush Mornings and like our Facebook page. Another fun show, fast show. Ross Peterson, thank you so much for your time again today. We'll do it again tomorrow morning with Beer with Bruno is back. So come check it out. It's the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive, and we'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m.